I have some good news.
Oh, word?
Yes. The election is almost over.
Great.
Do it to him, G.
Alright guys, welcome back to Relatively Conscious. My name is Tony Brown.
Irvin Bryant.
Shout out to our DJ for making a beat.
At DW Made That on social media.
Follow us on social media.
That's at Kinda Woke on Twitter and Instagram. Relatively Conscious. Everywhere else, hit us with a like, subscribe, follow, and hit us with the comment question.
Who do you think is going to win on Tuesday? Yeah, so,
Almost there.
Yeah, basically we're building up to this moment since November 9th, 2016, basically.
Yeah. Resist Donald Trump. Hashtag resist.
Yeah, and so real quick, I want to do something that's kind of tired, but just a picture, snapshot of the election right now. So right now, Biden has a 10-point lead nationally, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess the first question people are going to have is,
how is this different from last time?
Yeah, and so it's different in the fact that last time Clinton's lead was much smaller, right?
It was.
So knowing how polling works, right, most of her leads were within 3 or 4 points, and that's a problem because most polling data has a error code in it, right?
Right, yeah, a margin of error.
Yeah,
so you could be wrong by
3 or 4 points, right? And if you have a 3 or 4 point lead, and you could be wrong by 3 or 4 points, you have no lead.
Yeah, I was like, you about to lose, basically.
Yeah. And so also much more undecided voters. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you had a bigger third party threat. Real quick, I guess some people want to hear us talk about this. Is Kanye a third party threat?
I don't believe so, for real, but I do believe in the third party threat just as much as before.
Yeah, some states have basically kicked the third party off their ballots altogether. So it's like the Green Party got kicked off a couple of ballots in some states, and the Libertarian Party didn't meet its requirements in some states. A lot of states upped their requirements after 2016. So that's kind of how it's different than last time. Mm-hmm. There's less undecided voters. Biden's at a 50% margin in most of these polls, right? He's not 44, 43, right? And his lead is outside of margin error, right? So if you're 10 to 11 nationally, 3 to 4 points, you're 7 to 6.
It's a real lead.
Yeah, it's a real lead. Secondly, states to watch, really. Okay, so if I said what states we need to watch, which ones are you thinking about off the top?
I mean, there's the classic Florida.
Yeah.
There's the flipping Wisconsin and Michigan.
Yeah.
And there's some purpling ones that are bubbling up that's new.
Yeah, so Texas, Georgia, and I would add Pennsylvania to that list, right? Mm-hmm. His lead in those states. So Texas is between a dead heat to a 1 point Biden lead, right? Mm-hmm. But just because we talked about with Clinton last time, that is no lead, right?
Yes.
Is better than what we would expect it to happen.
Way better.
Yeah, way better. Georgia, he's looking at the same type of 3 to 4 points, right? But in Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Florida, it looks to be around 6 points in those places, right? How confident are you that he's able to hold on to the rustic belts?
I'm not entirely. The only thing that gives me any particular confidence is the record voter turnout. Yeah. And I mean, we are in it's a global pandemic. It's a special time. It's 2020. Racial reckoning, all that stuff. Yeah. So the fact that voter turnout is higher among all demographics, and in particularly voter suppressed states like Florida and Texas, gives one confidence that the polls may be kind of accurate this go around, because as many people as were asked, who you gonna vote for, are actually showing up and doing something.
Yeah. Would you be surprised if Texas flipped?
Yes, I would. Okay. To be honest, I mean, I live here my whole life. George W. Bush came from this state. My neighbors got the Trump flag out, so I'll be for real surprised. Yeah,
I think it's maybe possible if he's able to carry the Houston, Austin, Dallas, San Antonio suburbs.
Yeah, and that's the real thing is in a state like Texas, if you look at the electoral map. Yeah. Sure, there's way more Latinos and Black people showing up to vote despite whatever suppression, but Latinos and Black people still live in concentrated areas that were already blue before. Yeah. So we have to reach out, like you said, in the burbs, and the white women in the burbs who are activated, activated voters now, would have to, make a change in their voting patterns to actually flip Texas.
Yeah, and Georgia is pretty much the same type of deal, right? Shenanigans, right? So if I say we got to worry about some shenanigans on Election Day, what are you mainly worried about?
I'm worried about classic militia, action. The real extrajudicial, almost terroristic efforts. We've already seen people trying to blow up, burn down a ballot box, people showing up with the guns, circa 2000, stop the voting right now. That's really the only fear I have, aside from like a post-election riot, which I think is inevitable.
Yeah, so Michigan, they tried to, SNL made a joke about this, but they didn't try to kidnap the governor.
They did.
The growing political fallout from alleged terrorist plot to violently overthrow the Michigan state government. 6 men connected with a right-wing group are charged with trying to carry out an elaborate plan to kidnap the Democratic governor of Michigan. 7 others are charged with providing material support.
Yeah, and like
Civil War Electric Boogaloo Part 2.
Yeah, and so like a lot of people, is a joke to a lot of people.
It is a meme, and the name is a meme.
Yeah, but I think like I would not be laughing at that idea because I think that shows a serious conscious effort to extrajudicially affect the election. They feel it was unfair.
Right, I believe it's going to happen. So, I mean, we've seen the hyperbolic escalation of rhetoric and action, politically and outside of, official politics, people talking and saying and doing crazy things. It is 2020. So, if we'll have a sports riot over a championship, we got to cap off 2020 with a bang.
Yeah. So Pennsylvania, there's an issue of like naked ballots. Yes. And so some shenanigans around legislation, right? A lot of legislation has been kind of settled. Texas is going back and forth. They pretty much settled on one drop-off box, basically, right? Some places haven't really expanded voting that much, mail-in voting. So there's less shenanigans possibilities there, right? USPS is going to be overburdened. There's issues with people postmarking mail before Election Day and then not getting there until days after, right?
Yeah, and that's the Supreme Court has already ruled that if you don't make the Election Day deadline, then you didn't make it.
Yeah, some states have like 3 days, some have 4 days, right? Basically, it's just, at this point, it's up to USPS to basically get it done. Yeah. And finally, Florida's going to Florida.
Florida man, he's the most dastardly supervillain on the planet.
Yeah, he's gonna do what he's gonna do, right? At the end of the day, real quick, like we want to give a snapshot. What is your general consensus of what the race looks like right now?
It looks like it's anybody's race, to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm nail biting at the edge of my seat. This is the most entertaining, life-threatening, high-stakes story I've ever experienced in my life. So, we here, and that's really kind of it.
Yeah. I may be a little more confident. I feel as if Biden's lead is so strong in these swing states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, and Florida, that Donald Trump has a lot of ground to cover. And the debates are done. There's really nothing else he really can do. These rallies are only causing more COVID cases to pop up. That really, for Biden, for Trump to win, it would be a master class of political execution, right? More so than his last win in 2016.
Yeah. One last thing. I just realized you said that. All these spreader events, and he might be taking out his own voters.
Yeah, that's also very, very true. Though I really believe, though, at the end of the day, if Biden probably does win, the main question is the margin of victory. Because if he wins and the margin is too close, then we could have an issue where Al Gore probably won in 2000, but we get George Bush as president because legislation. But because litigation, basically. But if Biden wins by such a big margin that is called by 11 p.m. on Tuesday night, then we're really not going to have a way for Trump to try to take over, basically.
Yeah. Exactly.
My name is Tony Brown.
Irvin Bryant.
This is Real Team Conscious.
Peace.
Do it to him, Pete.